A crowded restaurant froze in silence as two men cornered a young woman. Plates rattled, hearts raced, and no one moved, until a quiet single father stepped forward. 15 seconds later, the entire room discovered a truth that changed everything. He was Navy. The restaurant's chatter died the moment two men blocked the exit, their eyes fixed on a young woman who clutched her purse like a lifeline. Fear rippled across her face, yet the other diners only lowered their eyes, pretending not to notice. Then, from a corner booth, a man quietly stood. His jacket was worn, his posture calm, but there was something unshakable in the way he moved. He was a single father, and tonight he had only wanted a simple meal with his daughter. But the moment danger rose, instinct took over. He placed a reassuring hand on his child's shoulder, whispered for her to stay put, and stepped into the storm. The woman's voice trembled as she begged them to stop, but the attackers laughed, mocking her helplessness. Chairs scraped as people shifted uncomfortably, yet not one soul intervened. That silence weighed heavier than the threat itself, an invisible verdict that said she was on her own. But the man's silence carried a different meaning. His was not fear. His was focus. Years of training hummed beneath his stillness, though none in the room knew it yet. Once he had worn a uniform. Once he had sailed across oceans under foreign skies, serving a country that often forgot the price its protectors paid. He had carried brothers in arms through fire, written farewell letters under starlit tents, and returned home with invisible scars that no one could see. The Navy had given him discipline, strength, and loss in equal measure. Now, all that remained was a quiet dignity, a life dedicated to raising his daughter, and a heart that would never allow him to stand idle in the face of injustice. One of the men reached for the woman's arm. In that moment, time seemed to slow. Forks hung suspended above plates. The father's daughter gripped the edge of the booth, her eyes wide with both fear and pride. Her father didn't flinch. He simply stepped closer. Respect is not weakness, he thought. Silence is not surrender. The first attacker smirked, daring him to move. The father did not answer with words. Instead, his body moved with precision. A swift redirection, a grip so controlled it spoke of years in uniform. The man staggered back, stunned by the speed of it. Before the second attacker could react, the father's calm hand pressed him to the ground, firm but restrained. There was no shouting, no wild display of violence, only quiet mastery. The room gasped. Strangers who moments earlier had looked away now stared in awe. And then, as if to answer the unspoken question, the woman whispered, "He's Navy." Those words rippled through the restaurant like fire through dry grass. The attackers froze, their bravado evaporating. The diners sat taller, shame washing over them for their silence. Even the woman found new strength, her fear giving way to relief. The father said only one line as he released his grip. "Strength is for protection, not intimidation." It became the sentence everyone would remember. The attackers stumbled out, their pride broken. The woman's tears turned to gratitude, but before she could speak, the little girl ran into her father's arms. He lifted her gently, his calm demeanor never wavering. Around them, strangers began to applaud, not for spectacle, but out of deep respect. Another diner whispered a phrase that echoed softly across the room. "Heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes they sit quietly at the next table." The father gave no speech, asked for no recognition. He simply paid his bill, held his daughter close, and walked into the night. Yet the memory of his actions would linger long after. Because courage is not loud. Courage is silent, steady, and unstoppable when the innocent are in danger. And that night, in a small restaurant filled with ordinary people, everyone learned that sometimes the quietest man in the room carries the greatest strength. Stories like this remind us that true heroes rarely announce themselves. They live among us, quiet, humble, yet ready to rise when it matters most. If this story moved you, tell us in the comments where you're watching from, and share your thoughts about this father's courage. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that honor silent strength and everyday heroes.